So welcome everyone to our webinar on the Draft Camden Economic Development Strategy. My name is V. Gurgis. I'm the Coordinator for Economy in Place, and the strategy was very much developed by my team, and its actions and deliverables will be delivered by my team. So I'm very pleased and proud to be presenting this significant piece of work to you today. Before I begin, I would just like to do an acknowledgement to country. Council acknowledges the Dharawal people as the traditional custodians of the land on which Camden sits, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And also I extend my respects to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people in the call today. Before we begin, just giving you a bit of an overview of how the webinar is going to run today. Just a little bit of a welcome first off. Hello, and then taking you into a bit of a contextual kind of framing before we actually talk about the strategy. So we'll be talking about the role of council, Camden's regional and economic context, the consultation summary. So before we put together the strategy, we actually went out and consulted with the community, and I'll just be sharing some insights from that. And then of course, an overview of the draft strategy itself. There are, of course, opportunities for Q&A. In fact, I welcome it. And so at the moment, if you can see the Q&A panel in your Zoom setup, if you have any questions as we go along, please just put your questions in the Q&A and I will respond to them at the end of the presentation. At the moment, the webinar is being recorded and all attendees are muted. But if you would like to actually ask your question at the end of the presentation, you can also raise your hand with that handy button in Zoom, and then one of our little gremlins in the back will unmute you, and so we can have a bit of a chat. So yeah, we'll just get started. I guess it's a really good place to start to really define the role of council, particularly in economic development and placemaking. Council plays three key roles in these areas. One of them is to facilitate economic growth, and that includes enabling activities which attract investment, create employment opportunities, and encourage the growth of innovative and future-focused industries. Another thing that we do through facilitation is strategy development, such as the one you're hearing about today. And these strategies that we develop across council are plans to support and encourage investment, jobs growth, and vibrant centres. We also undertake partnerships with diverse stakeholders to help deliver infrastructure, facilities, and services that will benefit our communities. And then we also provide for local infrastructure and assets, which are fundamental for business operations and place vitality. These include streets, roads, amenities and public domain assets, and of course, community facilities. And then we also undertake land use planning, and that's that long-term planning that looks to develop existing and future centres and employment lands that will help to build that employment of diversity and develop Camden as that attractive place for investment. And finally, we also deliver events and activations which help to activate public spaces, attract visitors and promote Camden as a place to live, work and grow. The second role that council plays in economic development is to support growth. And that includes business support, which includes information sharing, communication between businesses and councils, and assisting businesses through crises such as the pandemic, of course. Capacity building is also a big part of this, and it includes the provision of opportunities for businesses to learn and develop and to connect and collaborate in order to grow their businesses, and also to grow the broader business community. We also play a big part in encouraging the development of vibrant places, which will enhance and diversify our livability offerings. And finally, we collaborate with agencies and organisations to deliver a range of economic development activities, including investment attraction, business support, networking, and education and training. Finally, council's third role is in influencing economic growth. That includes a very large a big focus on advocacy to state and federal governments and organisations, and of course to industry bodies for a range of population serving and employment generating infrastructure that will help Camden to grow. Investment attraction activities that will promote the strategic advantages of doing business in Camden. Also promotion of the Camden LGA as a great place to live, work, study and visit. And then finally, research and data gathering to really understand the range of factors that will support and enhance economic activity in Camden. So that's the role of council broadly. What we do in the economy and place team is we really have that focus on economic development and placemaking, and really looking at economic growth within that place-based, with that place-based approach, and being quite bespoke and responsive to the regional and local context in which we are. So that includes business support and liaising, partnering with different organisations and collaborating to deliver on our activities, investment attraction, capacity building, strategy development, city marketing, business events, place activations, and research and insights. So as we go along, you'll see that these activities will be reflected in our economic development strategy, and then of course reflected in the things that we will be delivering over the course of the next 4 years. Camden, of course, doesn't sit by itself in a silo. We are part of a broader regional context. And I would say one of the more exciting regional contexts in the country at the moment. Not only are we a part of the metropolis of 3 cities, we sit within that Greater Sydney Commission plan for the metropolis of 3 cities, but I would again say we're in the most exciting of those 3 cities, which is the Western City District. So these are the key state government plans that really look at building the region for Western Sydney, and Camden is at the heart of that region. And then, of course, in conjunction with that Western Sydney plan is also the Western Sydney City Deal, which is a deal, a partnership between state, federal and local governments to be delivering on the infrastructure and the population and the investment opportunities that will come from the Western Sydney the Western Sydney International Airport. And then at the local level, our key strategies that really define what we do and how we do it is our community strategic plan and the Camden Local Strategic Planning Statement. These are the strategies that do outline our 10 and 20-year visions for Camden LGA over the next that many years, and really align that vision in context of the regional growth that's taking place. So those are the key strategies that the economic development strategy has been aligned with. And then there are also some secondary or supporting strategies that we also have sought to align ourselves with as much as possible. And that includes the Sydney 24-hour economy strategy, the New South Wales visitor economy strategy, and the New South Wales 2040 economic blueprint. And then at the local level, it's the Camden Town Centre Urban Design Framework and the Draft Camden Centres and Employment Land Strategy, as well as other strategies within council, but of course, I can't fit them all on one slide. And then just looking at Camden's economic profile, it's really great to know and to share with you the fact that Camden, despite the pandemic over the last 2 years, has been relatively unscathed. And so in the year ending June 2020, our GRP was 5.74 billion. We had over 40,000 local jobs and over 60,000 employed residents. And then in the year ending June 2021, we had over 10,000 local businesses, and that's a growing number. So despite the pandemic, the amount of businesses coming to Camden was still growing. And then, of course, our largest value-added industries were construction, retail, trade and rental hiring and real estate services. As one of the fastest growing LGAs in Australia, it is very unsurprising that these population-serving industries would be our strongest as well, because they really are growing in step with that population growth and looking to serve that population growth across a range of areas. Similarly, the top 3 industries for local employment, so this is where local people are employed in the industries, are retail, trade, construction and accommodation and food services. And then that really means that Camden's key sectors and industries as we go forward are construction, retail, trade and rental hiring and real estate services. And so we're really in a good position to be leveraging off the growth that will be coming from not only the airport, but also from the growth of the Western Sydney region itself. And that means that our visitor economy, as we all know, we have some really amazing assets in Camden. The visitor economy has that great opportunity to leverage and grow in step with our population and regional growth. Looking forward into the future, we've identified in the strategies some key sectors and industries of the future, the ones that will be quite responsive to those rapid regional changes and the international opportunities that will come from being at the doorstep of an international airport. And these are also industries for which we are well placed to grow within Camden. And that includes agribusiness and horticulture, food science and food technology, education and training, transport and infrastructure, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and circular economy. So, for example, agribusiness and horticulture, a very direct link to the growth that will take place there in conjunction with the Western Sydney Airport is that there's real opportunities for a farm to have grown their crops, harvest it, get it into the belly of a plane and to its international location within 24 hours of being harvested. So those are some really great opportunities that are coming on board that we're very excited to be supporting. So as I mentioned before, the development of the economic development strategy was also quite influenced influenced by the consultations that we undertook. So we undertook a series of consultation activities, and those included targeted online surveys to businesses and industry groups, also a broader online community survey regarding place initiatives, and really asking the community about what matters to them in terms of their place in the centres that they live and work and play in. We also delivered a webinar for businesses and stakeholders to talk through our plans and to get their feedback. And then, of course, a much more deeper dive through in-person workshops, which I know some of you attended, where we really looked at what the priorities and the areas of improvement were for businesses. And then, of course, the consultation with internal stakeholders throughout Camden Council, of which there are many. And so the key themes that came from those consultations were business engagement and capacity building, employment pathways, investment attraction, and vibrant centres and precincts. And then very hearteningly, it was nice to find out that everybody loves Camden and it really is the place to be. So in our place survey, 77% of respondents indicated that they feel a part of the Camden LGA community. And in our business survey, 100% of respondents identified the Camden local community as a key opportunity for businesses. And I know that many of you here today are Camden locals and you live and work in Camden. And I know that you do feel that really strong that really strong community connection throughout Camden as well. So it's really great to see that it's been reflected in both our place and our business surveys. So on to the main event, which is the economic development strategy itself. This strategy will outline what we do over the next over the next 4 years from 2022 to 2026. So I'm just going to go through the key parts of the strategy with you now. Just a reminder that if anybody has any questions as we go, please do put them into the Q&A section and then we will respond to them. I'll respond to them at the end of this presentation. So first of all, the vision of the strategy is to leverage Camden's local strengths and emerging regional advantages to promote attractive and livable places, stimulate economic and employment growth, and foster a vibrant, diversified, and technologically advanced economy. So this vision really looked to acknowledge the local strengths that Camden currently has, that very strong community sense of community, and therefore the very strong local business community. And then also look to acknowledge and identify our emerging regional advantages and really placing us in that regional context of being part of that Western Parkland city and therefore being in a really good position to leverage off the growth and the opportunities that come from that. Moving on, the strategy is underpinned by 6 principles. These principles are, as you go, you will have strategic directions and deliverables. And each of those deliverables are aligned to one of these principles, which will then guide us in how we both plan and implement the strategy. So our principles for the strategy are support, collaboration, leverage, promotion, place, and innovation. The strategy then has 4 strategic directions, which actually align very closely to those key themes that came from the consultation. We really did hear you in that consultation and seek to really reflect the needs and the demands and and the opportunities that came from those consultations into our strategic directions. So those are to facilitate business and industry growth, to strengthen education, training and career pathways, to attract investment to the region, and to support the development of vibrant places. I'm now just going to go through and outline the key priorities that are aligned to each of these 4 principles. So strategic directions. So each of the strategic directions then has 5 principles. Oh my Lord, I am mincing my words, I do apologize. So each strategic direction then has 5 priorities that we will then deliver across the 4 years. And these priorities will then manifest in deliverables and action plans. So the first being facilitate business and industry growth. The first priority for that is to understand the makeup and characteristics of the current Camden LGA business ecosystem through effective data capture and analysis, to keep businesses informed of trends and changes in economic, industry and government landscapes, to promote Camden LGA's unique and diverse offerings to its residents, workers, students and visitors, provide opportunities for capacity building to local businesses through a range of industries, and to investigate the establishment of flexible work hubs across the Camden LGA. So that provision of opportunities for capacity building was a very strong one that came through in the consultations. Businesses really want to have more access to information and to opportunities to learn and to grow their businesses, and also to learn and grow from each other. So I'm really pleased about that particular priority, because it means that we will be able to deliver quite bespoke responses to the business community about the things that you say you'd like, capacity building and support and growth in. Our next direction is to strengthen education, training and career pathways. And the priorities that come from that are to understand the existing landscape for education and training opportunities within the Camden LGA, to engage with local businesses to understand education and training needs and requirements by industry segment, to collaborate with stakeholders to deliver education, training and career pathway programs across a range of industries, to provide opportunities to accelerate youth employment in the Camden LGA, to advocate to expand tertiary education and training options across the Camden LGA. Again, this direction was very much in response to a lot of business feedback that said that there is quite a gap in skills development and in career pathways for a range of people at different parts of their careers, and then also quite specifically for young people. So a lot of businesses said to us that they were struggling to find the apprentices and to find people who would come into their industries and engage with them as more than just part-time casual work. And so this direction and its priorities really seek to respond to that and to respond to that gap in the skills and careers development. And so the only way to really effectively respond to that is to actually talk to the businesses and the industries and find out what it is that you need, and then to work with our stakeholders and also with other partners to look to deliver that for you. Can't promise that we'll deliver everything, but that is definitely the spirit of what this direction is about, and it's really to therefore grow that crop of local employees who then live and work in the Camden LGA. Our next strategic direction is to attract investment to the region. This includes investigating and supporting opportunities to leverage off future industrial and commercial hubs of the Aerotropolis, promote Camden LGA as an attractive place for business, industry and government investment, continue to collaborate with all 3 tiers of government in the delivery of economic outcomes associated with the Western Sydney City deal, investigate opportunities to attract and encourage the delivery of social services and infrastructure, and investigate the appropriate types of visitor accommodation for Camden and identify appropriate locations for future accommodation. This strategic direction, as you can see from its title, is very much about that regional focus, about positioning Camden as a strong player regionally and even nationally. and really leveraging off that growth that comes from firstly, just being one of the fastest growing LGAs in Australia. So that really strong population growth that we have, but also that growth that comes from being in such close proximity to a major international airport and also its surrounding aerotropolis. So we're really looking to investigate all of the ways that, all the opportunities that exist within Camden now and also into the future that will enable us to leverage off those opportunities from the airport and aerotropolis. And again, to build industries and businesses in Camden to keep the jobs locally. And then finally, the last strategic direction is to support the development of vibrant places. I call this the fun direction. Not that the others won't be fun either, but this one is the super fun one. And it's because it includes development and delivery of activations throughout Camden LGA centres. Also implementing the Camden Town Centre Urban Design Framework and Camden Town Centre Vision, supporting the development of the nighttime economy within Camden's existing and emerging centres, supporting and encouraging the delivery of events through the Camden LGA, and collaborating across council to support a place-based approach to the development of Camden's strategic and local centres. So this strategy is really all about acknowledging that we are a great place to be in, that Camden has some really amazing things to do and some really awesome centres that you can explore. And not only that, but we'll have some really awesome centres coming up again as one of the fastest growing LGAs. We are building a lot of new centres that will be catering to that growing population. And so it's really ensuring that those centres are being developed with that place-based approach and that people-centred approach that ensures that they have the right amenities and the right public domain settings, and then also the right offerings for people who both live and work in Camden, and then also visit Camden. This direction is also about delivering those activations within those centres that attract people, attract visitors and residents into the centres, and bring that extra business to the centres as well. So that's why it's fun. We get to put on events and do activations and do some really fun things in that one. So that's the end of the presentation. And now we're going to move into the Q&A. Just to remind you again, to please put your questions into the Q&A section and I will answer them. I see that one's come up in the chat, so I'll obviously answer that as well. But also if you'd like to speak to your question, please raise your hand, virtually of course, and then we will unmute you and we'll have a bit of a chat about it. But the first question has come through and it's can you please share more information about the growth of food science and food technology? Yes, so I can share a little bit of information, but I will also say that this is one of the areas that we do hope to explore over the next couple of years and really get a better understanding of. But in general, the growth of food science and food technology is really about looking at those innovative ways to grow food. We have not just a growing population in Camden, but a growing population worldwide and then of course in Australia. And one of the key challenges for any kind of food production is how to grow food safely, effectively, but also quickly, and to get them as fresh as possible and to get food produce as fresh as possible to the people who will be eating it. And so there is a lot of there's a lot of work happening with food science and food technology behind the scenes. We have the Sydney University's Agricultural Centre based just on the outskirts of Camden that's working on this. The CSIRO has also signed on to be a major tenant within the aerotropolis. And it's those kinds of big institutions and organisations that will be doing that kind of research and investigation in on the outskirts of Camden or in the Western Parkland City. And then as that happens, what follows will that they will attract the additional investment and the additional businesses to our area that will then actually be delivering on the research that's found there. And one of the really great things about Camden is that we do have such vast rural lands and also a lot of farms and agricultural activities. So we're really well placed to be leveraging off and learning from those findings and then delivering on that local investment and local jobs. So I hope that answers your question. The next question is, in what ways is council supporting activities and opportunities at night or after work hours? So I'd like to say that it's also about having a good drink after work. And the activities around the nighttime economy. We'll definitely be looking at encouraging our existing businesses to be open later, and because when we have a range of businesses that are open later, it means that people have certainty about there being an offering for them when they go to that place, and therefore it kind of just is self-fulfilling, and it means that more people will come, and therefore more businesses open later, and then of course attracting more businesses. But of course, there's also broadly on the strategic front the Sydney 24-hour economy strategy, and there are some really great actions and deliverables within that strategy. And I do commend the people who wrote that strategy, because usually when they talk about Sydney's 24-hour economy, it's really about central, like the CBD of Sydney, but this strategy really does acknowledge that Sydney and Greater Sydney has the potential to have great nighttime economies as well. And Camden was quite instrumental in helping to develop that part, and to really be advocating for Western Sydney to be noted and to be acknowledged and to be considered in this plan. And so the plan itself does outline a range of actions and deliverables to be delivered across Greater Sydney. And so our team will be working very closely with the 24-hour economy commissioners team to be looking at how those strategies can be implemented here in Camden. And then just very quickly as well, it's things like the development of Leppington Town Centre. At the moment, it's just a giant green field, but it will be the closest city centre to the airport when it's actually up and running. And so there is a lot of work happening behind the scenes in terms of the review of that centre, and in terms of how it can be developed in the best possible way with the highest and best uses. And again, we're advocating very strongly for nighttime uses in that space, because if you think about it, if you get off the, you land on Western Sydney Airport, and then you go to the closest accommodation in the closest city, you're probably going to go to Leppington. And if you land at 2 a.m, you're going to want to at least to get a cup of coffee somewhere around there. And so it's that kind of uses that we're really looking to encourage throughout in new centres like Leppington, but then also in our existing centres like Camden. I hope that answers your question. The next question that's popped up is, my child has recently finished their HSC. What support will there be for youth employment? Thanks for that question. It's a really important question, because again, Camden being that fast growing LGA, we have a lot of young families here, and those young families obviously hope to be staying in Camden for as long as possible. And those young families then grow up to have adolescents and then more families. And so what we're trying to do, so what we've really identified as an area of need is that support for youth employment. And it's not just within the economic development strategy, but also this council will be releasing a draft youth strategy very soon. And unsurprisingly, youth employment is a key issue and area for action within that strategy. And so some of the things that we'll be doing in the very first instance, is delivering a careers expo early next year. I will have dates and all the information for you very shortly, when we can announce it. But we'll be doing careers expo, which brings together local employers, registered training organisations and services to present to young people, students, as well as young job seekers on what the opportunities are available for them within the region. And then of course, that's in the short term. And then in the long term, we'll be looking at working with local schools and also TAFE to be, and then also businesses to really be understanding those training gaps and really the knowledge gaps as well, in terms of where do people in terms of what do students or young people even know about what the career opportunities are for them, and really looking to be promoting those and giving them really really practical information and next steps towards that. And then, of course, thirdly, you know that we don't have a tertiary education institution within Camden LGA. And so one of the key deliverables within our strategy is to really be advocating for that kind of institution to be located within Camden. We can't promise that it'll happen, but I will definitely try my darndest to make it happen. The next question is, how is council attracting suitable businesses in Camden Town Centre as there has been an increase in vacant shop fronts? That's a really good question, and I really do acknowledge the hardship and the difficulty that local businesses have experienced over the last 2 years. I mean, it's really great to know statistically that Camden actually hasn't been as badly impacted as, say, the rest of Greater Sydney or even the rest of New South Wales. But it's one thing to know that, but then another thing to also know that businesses are struggling still. And even though you're struggling less than maybe others, you are still struggling. And it has really manifested itself in those kinds of vacant shop fronts and in the closure of many businesses. So I do acknowledge that, first of all. This is a really tough question, and it's also not an issue that is, as you can imagine, just localized to Camden. LGAs all over Australia dealing with this. And this is where council's role as an influencer comes in. That's not as an Instagram influencer, but it's as an influencer in the way that I mentioned in a previous slide about council's 3 roles. So council's 3 roles are facilitating, supporting, and influencing economic growth. And this is where that comes in. Things like vacant shop fronts are very much privately driven and market driven. So it's not a matter for council to be able to just go in and be like, hey, this business come here and rent a spot here. We don't own those buildings. So we really have quite limited ability to actually act in that very direct way. But what we can do is the things that I kind of have mentioned already, those deliverables and priorities that I kind of mentioned already throughout in the strategy. And that's that work around activating our town centres, around building up youth employment, and also about capacity building for businesses, so that to really mitigate against businesses feeling overwhelmed, to give them the tools and the support that they need to firstly stay in Camden. And then, of course, to create tools and support for businesses who are looking to grow, to open up in Camden, but not too sure how to do it. We hope to be that one place that they can come to that gives them that support, that tells them that if you open up a business in Camden, you're going to be okay, you're going to feel safe, you're going to feel supported. And that also includes introducing them to the amazing business community that we already have. So those are the influencing kind of levers that council has to be addressing that kind of shopfront vacancy. And then, of course, it's also talking with landowners and shop owners about the things that we can do about that as well. Again, we can't solve every problem. I wish we could. It would just make everything easier. But we certainly have, and we'll be pulling all of the levers available to us to ensure that we both retain the businesses that we already have and then attract the businesses that we want into the area that would then, of course, attract more businesses. So I hope that answers that question for you. The next question is, within the strategy, it outlines council is encouraging the development of vibrant places which enhance and diversify Camden's livability offering. Just wondering what vibrant places means. That is a very good question. And I think it's really important to know that vibrant places means something different, something a little bit different at every kind of place, because a place is needs to be very specific and very responsive to the people that inhabit it. For example, if it's a place that is has a very strong kind of youth usage, if it's a very youth dominated place, you'll think of that, what makes it vibrant would be very different to if it's a place that's quite dominated and has a high usage by seniors. But at the heart of it, a vibrant place is a place that is inviting to as many people as possible, and enables people, as many people as possible, to feel safe and to feel welcome, and to feel connected when they arrive there. So at its most basic, it's about having those very basic public domain amenities that makes people feel safe and invited. So it means about having, you know, good lighting, good access to public transport, or good access to parking. It's about having the things that people need to use, like shops, retail services like Centrelink or Service New South Wales, cafes, restaurants, all of those things within a walking distance. So people can just get out there and go to use the things that they need to use. And then it's also having more public domain, like seating and shade, and just those kinds of very simple environmental elements that make it comfortable and safe to be in. And then, of course, once you have that, the next kind of layer of vibrancy would be the activity that's involved in it. So a vibrant place would be a place that has, you know, what we call at least 10 things to do. So can you get a cup of coffee and then go for a bit of a shop on a wander around town? Are there things for people to do that are free? Like, is there a playground for kids to hang out in? You know, can someone just sit and just enjoy themselves without having to, you know, do anything? And then when we talk about the nighttime economy, it's a place that's vibrant at night as well. It's a place where people and families feel really safe at night, and they feel like there's something for them to do if they were to go there. And it's a place where people can see the difference, the transition between day and night, where there's a lot to do during the day and it's really great. But then at nighttime, there's also heaps to do, and there's also amenities and services that they need as well. So vibrancy is a really kind of, it's a catch-all, but it means something different at every place. And so that's why we have a very place-based approach to developing our centres, really looking at the people who are currently using it and will be using it, and then looking to develop them in such a way that as many people as possible can be using them. So yeah. Is there any other questions? Just got a bit of a comment relating to my answer before. Hang on, here we go. Can you detail? So can you detail what will happen regarding the Aerotropolis development as regards to Sydney University lands and proposed relocation? Unfortunately, I cannot detail that. That is would be a private matter for Sydney University. We can certainly find out what's going on there, but at the moment we don't have that information. So I do apologise for not being able to answer that question. And yeah. And can you please share who we can contact with council with business ideas and feedback? Me, contact me and my entire team. I should have probably said, introduced my team at the beginning and said that we do have a full economy in place team who is ready here and ready to support you in any way. So there's me, coordinator of economy in place, and then we've also got a senior officer economic growth, a place activation officer, a city marketing officer, and a program support officer. And so even within those kinds of titles, you can see how our positions and what we do really align to the strategic directions as well. And some of those key deliverables, well, actually all of those key deliverables that were outlined. So my team is very ready to be hearing your ideas, and to be answering your questions and to be supporting you in your business at whatever stage it is. And we're also ready to be doing that groundwork, that research and insights, working to really understanding what our businesses need and understanding the industries that we currently have and the ones that are coming into the future as well. So any ideas or anything you want to get in touch with in terms of business, please do contact us. My next slide will have the details for which for how you can do that. Yep, it's the email will be coming. Okay, last chance for any other questions. Of course, this will not be the only opportunity for you to ask questions. Here's our email address, but the economic development strategy is currently on public exhibition until about the 6th of February. So there is plenty of opportunity for you to jump online, download the strategy, have a read over Christmas. It's very riveting Christmas reading, and then take an online survey to give us your thoughts and let us know, let us know your thoughts about the strategy. There's so if you jump onto Camden Matters, which is there, and of course it's also in the link in the chat, and we will also be emailing it to all participants today, so don't worry about having to write it down. If you jump online to our engagement portal, you'll get all of the information about the strategy there. You can download it, you can take a survey, you can also register to attend in one of 3 engagement sessions, and these will be in-person sessions as well, where we'll go into a deeper dive of the strategy. Like I said, the strategy public exhibition period closes on the 6th of February. I also encourage you to, if you haven't done so already, to register for our monthly business e-news. This again is one of the deliverables that we mentioned around keeping businesses informed. This is a really effective way for us to do so. The e-news goes out every month, and it has information about state, federal government initiatives, any grants that are available, keeping you up to date with all of those COVID regulations and public health orders, and then also letting you know what council's doing, and this is where we'll be promoting our business programs and that careers expert that I mentioned, and the range of other things that we'll be doing once this strategy is endorsed. And then of course I do encourage you to contact us if you have any questions, or just want to have a chat or have an idea that you want to run by us. Our contact details are right there, and we will definitely, of course, get back to you when you contact us. And we're always here, and I actually have some very enthusiastic team members, people who love to talk to people. So I do encourage you to contact us and just have a bit of a chat. We'll come out to see you as well if it's possible with the public health orders. But yeah, unless there's anything else, any other questions that anyone else has, of course, please do just send us an email if you do have any questions after this. I think I'm going to end it here. So thank you, everybody, for giving me your time. I know you're all very busy. I know workdays are very busy during COVID, but also in the lead up to Christmas. So I really do appreciate and value the time that you've taken to allow me to share this really exciting development and to share this really exciting strategy with you. I hope to be able to see you in person over the course of my team delivering on this strategy, and definitely hope to be able to hear from you through the online through the Camden Matters portal as well. So thank you, everybody, and have a good day.